Well, you certainly look it. I didn't see any enthusiasm. You see, 2026, it's a brand new year. Nothing's happened yet. And yet, what are the things that you have decided that you're going to do that's different next year? It's only a few days away. What are you going to do that's different that you haven't done 2025? Oh, that's encouraging. Well, I think most people do. They make resolutions, don't they? Or have you got past making resolutions? Yeah. Most people do get past that because they can't keep them anyway. But it still doesn't hurt. People get enthusiastic and say, yep, we'll do this and we'll do that and we'll do something else different. The curly whirlies are going around for those who had their birthdays. So Brad will be happy that they haven't missed out. But you see, a lot of people get inspired and want to have a fresh start, a clean slate to work on. And they decide to make changes for the new year. For many, it is that opportunity, start all over again. But for others, it's a sense of uncertainty and unpredictability. Is it going to be better than this year, or is it going to be worse? What is going to happen? Our world changes so quickly with things that we become part of it. And a lot of people suffer from anxiety because it reminds us very easily we're not in control, and we have no control over future events. We don't know what the outcomes of some things are going to be. One psychologist says it's the fear of facing extreme difficult feelings such as hopelessness, powerlessness, despair, rage, grief, and loneliness. A lot of people will try to deny them, suppress them, avoid them, or project them onto other people so they don't have to experience them. But as we face the new year, it brings about change. Some good and some bad. Some things will bring about because of ourselves. We decided that we needed to change, and there are some things that we can change. But other changes will occur whether we want them or not. And change brings about a challenge. And sometimes that challenge can make us doubt God. It can question our identity. It can question our purpose in life. And it will be up to each one of us about how we deal with these things as we approach change in the coming year. And I want to briefly touch on some promises that are in Isaiah 41. It's in my personal devotion. I marked them down. I thought I'll come back to this because it was an encouragement. And it tells us and it encourages us that despite all the changes and circumstances in life, our relationship that we have with God doesn't change. Oftentimes, we're the ones who don't live up to our end of the bargain in the relationship we have with God. We all start off enthusiastically, but then somehow with the distractions and the busyness of life, our relationship with God just fades away. It's not as enthusiastic as it was. And yet, despite all these things, God remains faithful. And no matter what 2026 may bring, God still promises to be with us so that we never walk alone through this year. And the first thing I want to look at is the promise of his presence in verse 4. And if you've got your Bibles, it says in verse 4, Who hath wrought and done it, calling the generations from the beginning? I am the Lord, the first, and with the last I am he. And this verse struck me. And in a modern version, it says, who caused this to happen? Who has controlled history since the beginning? I, the Lord, am the one. I was here at the beginning. I'll be here when all things are finished. And that was a great encouragement to me just in that verse. Because in the context of this passage, God is giving his people confidence and reasons why they should not be afraid no matter what the circumstances will be that they're going to face. In the opening 3 verses, God calls the nations to be silent in his presence. And then he gives them the opportunity to speak and justify why they do what they do when they pursue their idols. And it's a challenging confrontation. God is saying, you justify to me why you have idols and why you worship them instead of worshiping me. And he's simply asking them, look, put forward your evidence. See how that evidence holds up when we scrutinize it with the facts. Present your understanding of history. Where did it begin? Where it ends? And who's controlling it? That's what God is saying to the nations. It's also saying to us, who's in control of this world? Who's in control of the events that are happening? Is it the idols or is it God? And if you think it's your idols, you present the evidence and show me how they made things happen. What did they do to contribute to them? Tell me, lay it out before me so that I can see. Show me your idols. Do they have the capacity to influence world events? Let me see these things with my own eyes and see if they stand up to the test. As one historian of the time said, men think that gods can be born, have their feelings, voice and form, but could horses or oxen draw like men, they too would make their gods after their own image. But first of all, what is an idol? How do we define what an idol is? Okay. You see, some things we got this idea of a stone or a calf or, something that is there before us to worship. But what's a modern idol? Well, we're going to look at some of them. But an idol is anything more important to you than God. Anything that absorbs the heart and imagination more than God. And anything that you seek to give you what only God can give you. Whatever we treasure more than God. Whatever drives our thoughts, our actions, becomes an idol. And these idols dull our spiritual hearing and they harden our hearts towards the things of God. Now, here is an illustration. Idolatry. Now, if you look at there, social media, ego, approval, professors, you name it, it's all there. These are our idols that we worship. Oh, we wouldn't say, but I don't have an altar to them. No, but do these things take the place of God? Do you trust these things more than you trust God? And that's what God is asking the nations. With your idols, show me how they influenced the events that are happening at this time. Show me what they can do. I want to see with my own eyes how they have changed your circumstances and situations. Just show me. And there's so many things that we trust in today that take away from God. And they often stem from self-worship, materialism, technology, or careers, or having an obsession with money, fame, appearance, relationships, comfort, success. They're all subtle replacements for God. From addictions and social media obsession to placing misplaced faith in careers or partners. So here is God standing before the nations, if you like, saying, well, you know what? Show me. He's waiting. And how did the nations respond? With silence. There is silence. The silence of shame, the silence of submission. They had no answers to justify why they have placed their trust in these things. And God challenges the nations. Who do you think is in control? Who do you think has the authority to reason with the Lord? Who do you think controls the current events? Who is really in charge of all these things as they happen? Who controls human events? Who has performed and done it all through all generations right from the beginning? Is it simply chance? Is it simply fate? Is it simply a combination of random events? That's what he's asking. Or is there a God in heaven who's directing human events, moving them around like chess pieces on a board to accomplish his ultimate purpose and plans? Interesting questions. It provides an answer that will influence everything in their lives because he's simply asking who is in control. Is it man or is it God? So if you think you're in control of your life with your idols, then you'll believe accordingly. But if you believe there's a God in heaven who's in control of these things, then you'll believe accordingly as well and live your lives that way. If you believe in evolution, everything is based on random chances, the survival of the fittest. Luck is all you have to go by. But if God is in control and holds you accountable for the things you do. In verse 4 it says, who caused this to happen? Who has controlled history since the beginning? I, the Lord, am the one. I was here at the beginning, and you know what he says? I'll be there at the finish, when it all finishes. Now that's an encouragement. Why? God says, I was here before when man's history began. And I'm telling you, I will be here when it all finishes. And you know what? I know everything in between as well. So that should be an encouragement. He doesn't keep the nations in suspense. He makes sure that they know. He says, I have been in control of human history from the very beginning. I raise up kings, I raise up kingdoms, I raise up nations. And you know what? I take them down just as I put them up. Think of the mighty nations or empires that we've had in the world. What happened to Rome? What happened to Persia and Egypt? Mighty nations. Where are they? God says, I was there in the beginning. I raised them up. I used them as my instruments to do my will. And I took them down. And I'll continue to take them down. I'm the Alpha and Omega. The beginning and the end and everything in between. I started the story of humanity. I will end the story of humanity. God is saying, I have a plan for human history. I'm in control. I'm the one directing human events in accordance with my plans. The reality for us is our lives are not given over to blind fate. Our lives are not meaningless. They do not go on in endless cycles. It is God, our Creator, who directs all human history and influences everything within our lives. So basically, God is saying, who or what are you putting your trust in? And it's a good question as we look at a new year. What are you trusting in? What means the most as you start a new year? What are you trusting in to get you through? What's going to make the difference in your life? And God is saying, I'm in control. I always will be. Your idols will do nothing. They might make you feel better, but they're not going to change what happens. And then there's the power of his presence in verses 8 and 9. If you've got your Bibles, you can follow. It says, "But you, Israel, my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend, you who I have taken hold of from the ends of the earth, and called you from the uttermost parts thereof, and said unto you, you are my servant, I have chosen you, and will not forsake you." Wow. What does God say here? Why did he choose the nation of Israel? Were they special? Did they have something that was better than any other nation? The answer is no. He chose them to serve him. Consider the concept of a servant. Now, as we look at a servant, what's a servant's job? What's a servant's job? To serve, isn't it? Not hard. And that's what we think of. Now, let me ask you, in our modern day world, do you have servants? Be careful how you answer it. Do you have servants? Somebody in your family who is there for your sole purpose, to wait on you, to serve you. Yes? No? Maybe some would like it that way, but it's not going to happen, is it? But when we think of the servant concept, there was only one mission for a servant, and that was what Israel was called to do, to serve God. It was what set them apart from other nations. God chose them. They didn't choose him to be his witnesses to the surrounding nations. And as we look at the concept of a servant of God knows who their master is. And they know what their position and purpose is as a servant. They do not and cannot tell their master what to do. They cannot tell their master what they think he should be doing. Their place is one of submission, not a position of being equal to debate, to argue, or even confront. Now that stops us here in our tracks. As a child of God, are you special? How special? Very special in God's eyes. But what rights and privileges do you and I have as his children? Can I say, hang on a minute, God, you didn't ask my permission about whether you wanted me to do this or that, and I'm arguing with you and telling you I don't want to do that. I've got that right, okay? As a child of God, haven't I? Oh, why not? Oh, God, you know what? I thought that when I became a Christian that you're going to look after me. How come I've got cancer? How come I've only got a short time to live? You didn't ask me whether that was part of your plan, did you? And I don't want that as part of my life. So will you do me a favor and get rid of it? Because I've got some living to do. I can tell God that, can't I? Oh. You see, sometimes we forget we're servants of God. We forget He is our master. We don't have the right to tell Him what to do or how to do it or when to do it. Because we didn't choose Him, He chose us. And He has a purpose and plan for us. And sometimes we forget that even though we're His children, we're not in a position to argue, to debate, or tell Him how He should do things. And yet, when there's something we don't like, or there's a circumstance that enters our life, we complain, we argue, we get snotty and won't talk to Him. If this is the way you're going to treat me, well, I'm going to play no speakies with you. Well, just as well God is patient. But we forget we're servants. Israel was in a position of being a servant or a witness of God because of their family relationship with Abraham, who was the friend of God. And as a result, all his descendants had a special place with God also. So Israel had no place to be prideful or boastful. They are governed by God. But they are reminded that through Jacob, and as we stop and think about Jacob, what was Jacob like before God got hold of him? A lovely man, wasn't he? He was one of the biggest con artists and deceivers around. That's what he did. And he was known as the deceiver until God got hold of him and changed his life and named him. What did he name him? Israel. That's what he named him. God who changed the name to Israel. So as a people, as a nation, in and of themselves, they had no claim to fame. God had chosen them to be His witnesses. Now, in contrast, it's different from the idol-making nations. It was because of God's initiative and not their achievements. It was through His grace at work in them that they were set apart from the nations, not because of how good or how great they were. In verse 10, the provision of His presence. And this is the thought here in this verse: don't worry, I will be with you. Fear not, for I'm with you. Be not dismayed, for I'm your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. And we're breaking this up in it. And this is what God says: don't be afraid. Don't worry about things. I will be with you. Simple enough. How many of you put on your worry hats today? Did you worry about anything today? Is there any thoughts going through your mind that you're not sure about, that you're worried about? Has it helped you by worrying? Have you changed the outcome? What's it done for you? Nothing much, because nothing's changed. But it says, don't worry because I'm with you. Oh, yeah, wonderful. What does that mean? Don't worry, I am with you. Does it give you encouragement? Because God says, for the believer, I haven't given you a spirit of fear. He says, but of power and of love and a sound mind. In other words, you don't have to worry about these things because I'm with you. And again in Hebrews, keep your lives free from the love of money. It doesn't say from money, but the love of money. And be content with what you have, because God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. Don't worry, I am with you. But is that enough? Our text says, don't worry. Right, don't worry. You see, there's a problem as human beings. As a human being, do you and I have emotions? We do have emotions. Can I control those emotions? Or do those emotions control me? Is it wrong to have emotions? No. Is it wrong to allow the emotions to control me? A bit different. But you see, as people, we forget how emotional we can be. And these emotions will affect people around us. Now, what do I mean by that? How do you tell when a person's in a bad mood? By their face? Is it just their facial expression? Or their voice? And their actions too. And they are radiating a feeling that you pick up on very quickly, don't you? And that feeling says, stay away. Don't get in that person's space. They're having a bad day. And you don't want to be on the receiving end. But you're able to pick up these emotions. And of course, does love have a feeling? Do you have moments where you're overcome by love and affection? Yes. Because our emotions often are the way we see things and respond and do things. And you know what else they do? Fear, worry, stress, and anxiety are all part and parcel of our emotions. Because fear is an emotion. And that fear can affect our thoughts. It can affect our conduct, even our physical health. And fear has the power to hinder us or hold us back from all that God wants to accomplish in our lives. And fear is something that the enemy likes to exploit and prevent us from what God has planned for us. Now, you might be sitting here and say, well, Pastor, it's not my problem. I don't fear anything or anyone. Well, I've got news for you. Everybody has a fear. You might hide it better than other people. You might suppress it better than other people. But you know what? One day it's going to pop up when you least expect it. And you know, you won't be able to control it. Now, there's some issues that do cause us fear. Some, it's the fear of being poor, of not having money. Others, it's the fear of dying or death. To others, it's ill health. Or it's the fear of getting old. Or it's the fear of what people might say or think about you. It can be the fear of losing a loved one. All of these are fears. And why are they fears? Because these are things that we cannot control. Having said that, our response to fear is not a sin. Because there are some fears which are healthy to have. Some fears that protect us from harm. The fear of the Lord, which is the beginning of wisdom, is the way we honor and worship our God. But there's also a bad response to fear, where we allow fear to dominate and control every step of our lives. We allow it to damage us. We allow it to control us. Joshua 1:9 says, "Remember that I commanded you to be strong and brave. Don't be afraid, because the Lord your God will be with you everywhere you go." So fear is a part of life, but it's not something that we should allow to control or manipulate our thinking and our conduct. Now, why is fear so damaging to human beings? Often we think, it's not a problem. It can happen to others, but I'll never allow it to happen to me. I'll never allow something to get into my mind that goes around and around and around again and cause me to be anxious and afraid of people and places. You know, as we were growing up, we learned to be anxious concerning our relationships. Such things as we're growing up and young, will you be my friend or not? It might be about certain situations. Fear of the dark, fear of heights, fear of spiders, fear of being abandoned, fear of being unloved, to the point that all of these things become a constant focus or voice that torments or paralyzes us from moving forward. They're the what-ifs in life. They dominate everything we do. They can hinder or block or prevent us from growing in our faith with God. But when we actually nut down anxiety or worry, it's saying, God, I don't think you're big enough. I don't think you're powerful enough to deal with all my problems. Because our perspective is our problems seem so big at the time, and God seems so small and insignificant when we compare them together. You know, that's where our faith stops. Our God is big enough to take care of any problems we've got or ever will have. But it's our concept of God. How big is my God? Is he this big? Is this big? Or this big? Is there anything he cannot do? And if my God is big enough to do anything, then why should I worry about things? Because he's got it. We doubt God. We doubt his promises. We doubt whether he can do everything he says. And so then what do we do when we think God can't do it? Then somebody's got to do something. So what do? We take steps to try and gain control over our fears and circumstances using our own strength and logic. With the result, we come up empty again. Because we can't control things. Our worries get worse. We encounter more what if. Not a positive outlook for a child of God. And fear doesn't have a place in our life. We may have moments of fear, but you know what? We have the tools to deal with them and stand on the promises of God to enable and equip us to overcome these things with confidence. We have a God who can do it all. Now, where does fear come from? It can come from within. It can be sin in our lives. It can be a natural result of us doing the wrong thing and not making things right. But fear can come from what we've been taught or from our own imaginations. And we got wonderful imaginations. You know, something happens and our mind can go 10 to the dozen, looking at every situation, looking at from every perspective. And I've met people that say, you know what, Pastor, I'm a solver. I love solving problems. And I thought, well, good on you. But you know, there's going to be a problem that you will not solve. But our minds work overtime trying to find solutions sometimes to problems that we cannot overcome. But we put all this together, we doubt God and his abilities. We also have a poor image of ourselves, being ignorant of God's word. All it does is help to foster those worries and anxieties in life. Our text says, don't worry, I'm with you. This is God speaking. He never lies. This is his promise. He will deliver when we focus on him. And so it should give us the confidence that no matter what the circumstances that we find ourselves in 2026, we don't walk it alone. God is there beside us. He really is. So he says, don't worry, I'm with you. Trust me. The second part of verse 10 is this: the predominance of his presence. Don't be afraid, I will not fail you. Don't be afraid, I will not fail you. Now, all of this comes down to my personal relationship with God. It comes down to a relationship. Those who are married, do you trust your partners? Oh, that's encouraging. Maybe I better do a marriage counseling session. Do you trust your partner? What made you trust your partner? Is he perfect? Is she perfect? What made you trust them? No. You've given me a lot of helpful advice this morning. But doesn't it come from growing in your relationship? You know, I often marvel about how God lets us choose our partners in life. And basically his thing is make it work. And we go about, we're in love. The world is at our feet. We can conquer and do anything and everything. Then in our marriage, a few years later, what happens? Is that desire and that ambition still there? Or has there been a bit of a reality check? You see, our goals in taking on the world and doing everything, well, maybe it's a little bit coloured by now. Maybe there's some things that we've learned about ourselves that, well, you know, we need to work on. But God is there, and that relationship, as you go through circumstances, as you go through life, it strengthens you. You trust the other person because they've been there for you, with you, and through that circumstances with you. So that enables them and enables you to trust that person. I think back to when my wife and I got married, a long time ago now. But you know, we've come a long way. We've experienced a lot of things. But there's a trust there that was built from the word go. And it wasn't easy, but it's there. And it's through the circumstances in life that we trust one another explicitly. And it's the same with our relationship with God. If we haven't got a relationship with God, then we're not going to trust him. Because why would we? We don't know him. We don't know what he can do. He has to prove himself. But as a believer, as you walk through this life with God, you have different experiences that draw you closer to God or push you further apart from him. I have confidence that God knows exactly what I need. And in Ephesians 3 it says, Glory belongs to God, whose power is at work in us. By this power he can do infinitely more than we can ask or imagine. That's what God's promise is. Through that relationship, I can work through you. I can do amazing things through you. The question is, do we trust him? Or with Job. Oops. I know that you can do everything and that no purpose of yours can be withheld from you. This was Job. This was the confidence that he had in God. You see, the reality is this: if God is my God and he's able to do what I need, what do I have to fear? Because God's on the throne. He's in control. He hasn't changed. I just need to remember who he is. And there are terrible consequences when I let fear rule my life. Because when fear or worry rule my life, I won't step out in faith. I won't believe God has a plan and purpose for my life. All I see is more suffering and pain. I will not take the risk and step outside my comfort zone and see what God has prepared for me. Instead of being decisive, instead of being confident, I will procrastinate. I'll put off making decisions because maybe they're wrong. And this will undermine my confidence. It will allow my feelings to determine what I should and shouldn't do. That might not be what I really want. But you know what? I might not want to be controlled by my feelings. But the reality is, if I don't trust God, then I need to trust something. And it means I will put myself back into control or feel that I need to control situations and people. And the sad reality is, whenever I'm in control, whenever I'm telling people what to do and how to do it, when to do it, why to do it, God doesn't have a chance to work through me because I'm in control. I'm controlling what people will do. I'm allowing my feelings to dictate and undermine any trust I have. So to be free of fear and worry means allowing someone other than yourself to have control of your life. Wow, that's a big step. Allowing somebody else to have control. Trusting someone else to lead. Trusting somebody else to guide and direct your journey through life. But the choice is yours and yours alone to make. You can choose to allow the circumstances or the people or the places or your feelings to control you and fill you with worry and anxiety. That's your choice. Or you can focus on God and allow him to give you his peace as you move through life. You can trust that he will never fail you or let you down. Isaiah says, "Far from the days of old, they have not heard or perceived by ear, nor has the eye seen a God beside you who acts on behalf of all who wait for him." That's a promise. It means we need to retrain our brain, renew our minds with the truth, and trust that God knows what you need and will give you everything you need as you walk with him in 2026. And then there's the privilege of his presence. I will not forsake you, but I will sustain you. In our text, he says, very quickly, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I'll help thee, yea, I'll hold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." Three things that we can count on in God's presence. He will strengthen us. What does that mean? How does God strengthen you every day? Or does he? You see, he gives us the power to do whatever needs to be done. He gives us the grace in measure to do exactly what we need to do when we need to do it. And he strengthens us. He will support us, giving us what we need in the exact proportions that we need. He will sustain us. He will keep us and get us safely through that journey until we reach our destination of heaven. God did not save us to abandon us along the way. There's just some of the reasons why we should not worry about things. Things that you cannot control. We need to start trusting God who controls everything. He has the promise to strengthen, support, and sustain us no matter what happens in life, and he always keeps his word. He will meet our every need. He'll help us to overcome every challenge that we face. Now, Iris Stanfield wrote this beautiful song, and we've sung it. But it says this: many things about tomorrow I don't seem to understand, but I know who holds tomorrow, and I know who holds my hand. When we know who has our hand, we do not know to have fear about the unknown. When we know who holds our hands, we can rest assured of victory. When we know who holds our hand, we can walk in confidence. When we know who holds our hand, we can know that all will be well. The problem isn't always having our hand, but keeping our hand in his is. Don't be grabbing for the latest thought that comes from Satan. Keep your hand in his. Don't be reaching for something God doesn't want you to have. Keep your hand in his. Don't let go of his hand for anything. Keep your hand in his. We don't know who holds tomorrow or what tomorrow's going to bring, but we know who holds tomorrow and the future, and we can trust him. And there's another interesting testimony of another song that came to mind as I was listening to it, preparation. It was something I added. And it was a fellow called Thomas Dorsey. He had the title of the father of gospel music. His music is loved around the world. But the journey to this title and fame is a very difficult one. Thomas loved music at a very early age, long before his music education at the Chicago College of Composition and Arranging. He was playing a piano in a vaudeville act. After college, he frequented jazz clubs, gaining quite a reputation as a very talented musician. In 1921, at the age of 22, Thomas gave his life to Christ. Almost immediately, he left for jazz clubs and began writing gospel music. He took great effort to circulate his musical scores, but it was 3 long years before anyone started to notice. Little by little, his reputation grew, not only as a songwriter, but as a church music director. In 1932, he was now called the Reverend Dorsey. He was leading a church service. A man came up onto the platform to hand him a telegram. His wife had just died in childbirth. Within 24 hours, his newborn baby died also. Thomas quickly spiraled downward into the depths of despair, doubting the goodness of God and determining never to write another hymn. A week after that horrible, life-changing day, Thomas was deep in his grief, sitting alone at a piano in a friend's music room. Into the room came a heavy peace such as he'd never known before. As that peace enveloped him, Thomas felt the urge to play the piano. His fingers found a familiar melody, and the words came, and he wrote, "Precious Lord, take my hand." And this is the song that gave him encouragement and lifted him from his despair. It says, "Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I am weak, I am worn. Through the storm, through the night, lead me on to the light. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. When my way grows drear, precious Lord, linger near. When my life is almost gone, hear my cry, hear my call. Hold my hand lest I fall. when the darkness appears and the night draws near. As the day is past and gone, at the river I stand. Guide my feet, hold my hand. Precious thoughts of people as they face difficult circumstances they had no control over. Our Heavenly Father has promised He will never leave us nor forsake us. He wants you to be able to proclaim your faith in Him with confidence. So no matter what the Lord calls you to do, He will give you the power and wisdom to accomplish it. He calls us to serve Him out of a desire to fellowship with Him and bless you. So don't let fear or worry or anxiety dominate you. Step out in faith in 2026. Trust in the Lord and walk with Him as you journey through this brand new year. 2026, what might it be? We don't have to worry. The Lord is with us and He's in control. And I pray that's an encouragement to you as we start a brand new year together as people. Don't let worry or your emotions dominate what you're going to do or how you're going to deal with things.